All right, so I'm going to go in
Yes.
3, 2, 1. All right, guys. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome. Welcome. So I've got a special guest on tonight, but before that, let me just set the table for you. As you know, we've been talking all week about some exciting things that are going on in the legislature, of course, led by Republicans. One of them is a parental rights bill that came out early on. We're keeping an eye on that. We're watching that. And of course, it would prevent a lot of what we see of the grooming in the classrooms. We're not happy in that this prohibits the sexual politics presenting of that from K to 4th grade. We are advocating pre-K to 12, but we'll see what happens. Also, the Girls in Sports Act, there were 2 Senate bills that came out on that, 1 House bill. We'll talk a little bit about that, as well as the anti chemical castration and mutilation bills. And there are 2 in the Senate on that one, and then 1 in the House. And so what it tells me is this bolus of bills coming out of the Republican Party in Raleigh, it tells me that they're starting to get serious about preventing all these dangers to children. We wouldn't have to make these laws if we weren't in a war with people that are crazy. We don't want to be in that war, but we have no choice. So here we are. So without further ado, I want to bring on a very special guest from Against Grooming, North Carolina. You've probably heard of the national group. There is a North Carolina group led by Mr. Bryan Talbert. Hello.
Hey, Sloan.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. So much to cover, you see from my intro. But before we do that, you and I were talking off camera about this patently ridiculous story that influencer Ollie London tweeted out. So I'm going to play that now, and then I want you and I to get into it. So let's go. All right. So we can tell that the girl on the left belongs there. The dude on the right does not. This is what one of the most prestigious ballet companies in the world is, the Royal Ballet, right? And trans, I guess, has been participating for the last couple of years. What do you think about that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were. Well, I look at it this way. I look at all the girls that have actually worked all their lives to become part of this school, and that's their, their goal in attending this. And all of a sudden, out of the name of inclusion, they're going to include a 6'3" male to let them know they're with it. And but the disgusting part to me was watching all these girls that have worked hard and everything come over and grab the flowers. Each one of them grab a bouquet of flowers and go take it over to this man, pretending to be a female. And it was just, it was like they were being forced. That's the impression I got, is they were being forced to do that.
Well, it's kind of like the Women in Sports Act, and we'll talk about that in a second. But we saw, Leah Thomas, which is a dude on a platform winning, first place in a national championship. And just like you said, the girls were forced to be, again, subservient to a man. I thought Gloria Steinem and the girls, Betty Friedan et al., cleared the way for girls to at least have their own sports.
And they're nowhere to be seen right now. They're nowhere to be to protect these women. It's like with the sports thing. Riley Gaines, she said, Megan Rapinoe, is that her name? She's out here championing for trans women to be in women's sports and everything. And it's like Riley Gaines said, you've already achieved your career in this, and now you're trying to stop it from all these other young girls. And yeah. I just don't understand what the whole push is. I mean, we've got people that haven't even done anything to sacrifice to obtain these goals. We've got girls that are in school that work to get scholarships and stuff, and they've invested years into this. And just to have a man, just like with Leah Thompson, who ranked 400 and something in the men's division, coming in, of course he's going to be number one. I mean, just his length alone and his body, he has an advantage over the girls just by that. And then his strength, and then to go from 400 and something to number one, that tells you about there's no level playing field.
No, not at all. And, as you mentioned, Riley Gaines, risked it all to be able to get her story out. Of course, not only was it traumatic for her to compete and lose against this guy, but she had to be in a locker room with him. I mean, nobody, the shock value of that alone, it's unpleasant, it's wrong, it's nasty. And I'm glad that the Republicans in the General Assembly are taking this seriously. So we've got a House bill and a Senate bill which mirror each other, and it just says, look, there are going to be in interscholastic sports 3 teams: co-ed, dudes, girls, right? We wouldn't even be here right now with this obvious stuff if it weren't for the left, and they really don't care. Then we have a third bill, which is a school transparency bill for athletics, and it's just restating the same thing again. Common sense would not have to be legislated if we weren't fighting with Marxist buffoons, because they don't care.
Absolutely don't. I mean, it's like these are the same people, like you said, with Gloria Steinem and all them. I mean, these are the people that champion for women's rights, and now just to see them abandon these women, these young girls, the young girls that need them the most to look out for them, and they're just nowhere to be found. It's disgusting watching them all of a sudden protecting these men now.
Well, what I find absolutely uproariously hilarious is that some of these same feminists, they call themselves, they're championing equal pay. What does equal pay mean if a dude can put on a wig, right, and do the job of a woman? So they're arguing against themselves. If we're in fact equal, then this it makes no sense.
Well, the equal pay argument, it has no place in this argument with men and women's sports. I mean, I understand the pay thing. I mean, it's like with men's sports.
Well, Megan Rapinoe is bringing that in.
Right. She's making her money. She's getting her endorsements and everything. But I understand women's soccer and stuff like that. Women's sports are really not all that popular when it comes to compared to men's sports. Why? I don't know. But I mean, you got to look at the sponsors and stuff that promote the men's sports, and they're just not. That has nothing to do with the equal pay thing. You get paid from the revenue you create, and if you don't create that revenue, where do you expect to be paid from?
Right. Where they're making all these. I mean, obviously, when you're arguing nonsense, you're going to run into hypocrisy here. That's really the currency of the realm with the left. So that's where we are. But again, I'm very glad that the legislature has taken a stand on this. And it seems like, I mean, we're, I think, going to be the 20th state should we pass this legislation to do so. And of course, Florida leads the way. And so
North Dakota just passed it today, I believe. I believe the governor just signed it in North Dakota today, protecting women's sports from K through 12.
Okay, so was that what number was that? That was number 19?
I'm really not sure. I think it was number, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was the 12th one this year.
Okay.
Just since January. So, but I'm not familiar as far as the ending of last year.
Okay. But we've waited.
North Carolina is actually, if you look at the map, all the states, and North Carolina is the one that does not have it yet. We're surrounded by other states that do have it. And I'm encouraged by what I'm hearing from the representatives that I've talked with in Raleigh. I'm even seeing it from Democrats. I mean, this is a nonpartisan issue, and people are on both sides are starting to come out. People are waking up. Just like, I don't know if you saw this about in Canada, where the transgender student was outside and was holding the trans flag, and he was preaching for 2 hours and everything. And all the students came out of the school when the school let out, and they all stood out there. You would think that they were supporting him and everything, and all of a sudden it was just like, the students started screaming, there are only 2 genders and all this. And one of them, I don't condone taking anyone's property from them, but they ripped the trans flag from the guy and ran off. And that shows, that's encouragement to me that these young kids are waking up. I mean, we've been told that they support this, but no one's really gone and asked the kids.
People have had
You know,
enough. People have had enough of, you know, again, you can't even have a ballet show without having a dude there. You can't have a competition. People have just had enough of this constant encroachment. You can't be normal. They're making it so that you can't be normal. We don't wish violence upon anyone. We certainly don't condone bullying. We will defend anyone who's being bullied. But look, the bullying here, Bryan, it's happening to all of us by the trans mafia.
yes, I've always, I mean, even before I got involved with Gays Against Groomers, I've always spoke out and said the radical trans agenda is one of the most dangerous agendas in the United States right now. And we're actually seeing that. We're also seeing the politicians, the media, all of them covering up for this violence and turning the aggressors into the victims. And, you know, it's just like an upside down world.
Yeah, what it truly is. Now, Florida has come forth with an anti-drag show bill. Full disclosure, guys, my family owns a lot of stores on Duval Street in Key West. There are drag shows hour on the hour there, and they do not let kids in, period. I mean, you've got to be 21 even. They just don't do it, right? But this bill would prohibit drag shows for kids. My point is this, is that the drag show scene, by the way, in drag bars, they haven't really started allowing children to come in or even marketing to children until progressives got involved like a year or two ago. Is that what you've seen too?
Well, I don't see it as much as the bars. I mean, the bars are pretty much staying out of this. And from my experience, you know, it's the restaurants, the breweries,
Coffee
all these
stores.
right,
Yeah.
this stuff. The one that, like, I mean, it's like the new Gucci bag to have a drag show at your business. And we threw a protest at East Franks in Monroe. It's in downtown,
Right.
and they've got a big following on Facebook and stuff, and that's because the restaurant was featured on Kelly Clarkson's show once, and that's where they got a lot of their fan base and everything. But we stood out there Saturday night in the pouring rain, 30 something degrees, and we witnessed that the popularity does not show up at that front door. I mean, there's not like, I mean, you might see like 150 people commenting on the drag show announcement, but you don't see anywhere near that number coming in to watch the drag show. But we did witness, I watched two minors. We've got that on film, two minors coming in. And then we also have appeared to be a trans kid, looked to be about 14 maybe. And the parents brought them in and left them at this bar. And then the parents leave. And I was like, you know, I said, one, you're dropping your kids off at a freaking bar. I mean, who the hell does that at 14 years old?
Child abuse.
You know,
This is more evidence of this being child abuse.
right. And we're standing out there protesting, actually standing up for the children. And one of the guys who is involved with the bar makes a little gun thing, finger gun thing to me. So when I went up and confronted him about that, I was like, you know, what you got a gun? Is that what you're trying to say to me? You want to shoot me or something? The bouncers quickly came out, grabbed him, pushed him inside the bar and refused to let him come back out. We're causing a major disruption for this restaurant. So
Yay.
we're going to every 2 weeks on Saturday and Union County in Monroe. If you're around from 6 to 7, we protest at East Franks Bar and Grill. And,
I love it. I mean, you guys are, I mean, I want to tell you, Gays Against Groomers, you guys aren't, it ain't a party until y'all are there, and y'all are leading the protest against the perversion of the whole gay community and the Stonewall movement, because as you know, this is gay people are unfortunately unfairly maligned with this movement at times, and it's not right. And you guys are leading the charge against protecting our children, and I have to thank you for that.
you're welcome. We have someone from Gays Against Groomers has spoken in front of legislatures in every single state that these bills have passed. And we have been a driving force in getting these bills across the finish line. I don't think without Gays Against Groomers, because a lot of people will look, if you've got a bunch of straight people coming in and saying, oh, we got to get rid of this and everything, then that's going to throw a little weight to one way. But when you got a bunch of gays showing up and say, no, this cannot happen this way, then people step back and they actually think and say, well, you know, if the gays people are against it, then let me reevaluate what I'm thinking. And, you know, it's not inclusion. You bringing your 14-year-old child to a drag show does nothing for my rights. All it is doing is making you a bad parent and your child scarred for life. That's my opinion.
Well, and it's the opinion of every clear thinking person. I mean, look, this is common sense stuff. And the fact that Florida has to legislate this and say, hey guys, you know, minors cannot attend, you cannot have drag shows catering to minors. They know, people know what they're doing. I mean, it's just like that video that we saw of an incident 2 weeks ago at Forsyth Tech. Now, I want you in the audience to know that these junior colleges, in a lot of cases, 3/4 of the people who attend the school during the day happen to be high school students who are completing a 2 years associates in conjunction and simultaneously with their high school diploma. That is what happened in this case. And here we see an adult man grinding his crotch in the face of a I don't know if it was a minor, but it was a young person there who you could tell, Bryan. I mean, look at this. She was unsuspecting.
Look how they got these children in there. I mean, none of these children that I say children, I mean, they're minors, but none of them knew they were coming to a drag show. The email that was sent out from Forsyth Technical Community College and the Pride event for free pizza. So all these students were coming in thinking they were just coming for some free pizza. They had no idea a big old man in a dress was going to be grinding his crotch in somebody's face.
No,
you know,
no.
So
I
they
mean,
were brought in on false pretenses, you know.
Well, I mean, this is called predatory behavior, which brings me to the next collection of bills. There are a couple of bills that are aimed towards stopping the castration, chemical castration, mutilation that's going on, because again, you know, these children are groomed in school for this. They're set up as customers, and at ECU especially, they go right from the classroom to the clinic room to the operating room eventually. And so there are a couple of bills, and I have to commend the Senate Health Committee on this. They're very serious. They put out a bill that would stop this telehealth. I don't know if you knew this, but kids can be seen in school via telehealth from psychiatrists. And the law states they don't have to contact the parents. Now, I'm sure a majority of them do, and I'm not suggesting otherwise, but this bill would absolutely clamp down on creating customers of unsuspecting children in schools with these predatory behaviors and these terrible drugs.
Right. Just like the cosmetic concierge here in Charlotte. I'm not sure if you've heard of them. They're located on South Boulevard, right downtown. I was shocked. I passed by this building, I don't know how many times over the years, and I had no idea that right inside that big, beautiful pink building that they were cutting off the healthy breast of 14-year-old children. They have scrubbed all those pictures off their website, but I have them. I have every single one of them. I have I have the ones before they blurred them. I have the ages of the children. The youngest age I found was 16. But at that particular clinic, I did not find male to. I mean, I did not find male to female.
I think you need to be a urologist for that. So, guys, this is very specialized.
Patients. I only found female to male patients. Okay.
Yeah, it's very specialized, and so we put up, we wrote an article about that, and then showed also that Medicaid, it does cover these procedures. It not only covers these procedures, which is why ECU is doing it, ECU Medical School, Brody Medical School, which is preying on young children to try to get Medicaid dollars, but also the state health plan.
Now,
So,
Medicaid pays for these surgeries?
pardon me?
Medicaid pays for these
Oh,
surgeries?
absolutely. Absolutely.
I had no clue. I did not know that. I mean, you know, I don't care what a grown adult does. They can do whatever they want, mutilate your body all day long.
Bottom
But
line.
the American taxpayer, if they're not for this, their money does. They have a right that their tax dollars not go for this. I mean, I think these private insurance companies, if they want to pay for it, that's fine. But it's just like the bill where they're trying to. They're I think it's Florida where they're passing it to where these insurance companies have got to cover the detransition surgeries as well.
Oh, okay.
I think that's going to be a big
Smart.
turning point in this because one, it really is almost, it is impossible to go back to what you were. But the cost of the surgery to detransition is astronomically different than what it is to transition. And these companies, these insurance companies, they just think they go in there, pay for the surgery and everything, and they're done. They wipe their hands with it and everything. Now they're going to start thinking. Florida has put them on to where you're going to cover this surgery, or you're going to pay to detransition these kids if that's what they choose to do. And I'm all 100%